Tender Ray Beef presents by transcription Hearts in Harmony, and brings you today Bob Crosby, star of the radio world, who in a moment will tell you about a star of the food world featured at your Kroger store. K is for Kroger, C is for cut, B is for beef. KCB means Kroger cut beef, and Kroger cut beef means more meat for your money. And here's the reason this star of the food world gives you more meat, less waste. Before the meat is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess bone, excess waste, and stringy ends. And listen, you get top U.S. government grades of beef. It's tender, juicy, rich red, and marbled with just the right amount of flavory fat. That means you get a better value in top-grade beef at your Kroger store. Yes, it's at Kroger's where you'll find Kroger cut beef and many other outstanding stars of the food world. But now to tell you about a famous star of the food world featured at your Kroger store, here's Bob Crosby.
Hiya, friends. This is Bob Crosby. We have a little song on Club 15, begins like this. Spaghetti, spaghetti, you love our spaghetti. Seems folks do love it, because Franco-American is today the largest selling ready-cooked spaghetti in the USA. We're proud of that.
Get Franco-American spaghetti at your Kroger store. It's Kroger for better values on well-known brands, the stars of the food world. And now, Hearts in Harmony. Barry Carlton responded so well to the operation necessary to save his life that he was able to receive a brief visit from Penny Gibbs, though she, too, is still critically injured. But following Penny's visit, he lapsed into a coma, and now, 2 days later, he has still not regained consciousness. Grace, Penny's mother, is on her way to Penny's room when Dr. Weston stops her in the hall. The doctor says,
"Oh, Mrs. Billings."
Oh, good morning, Dr. Weston. How's Barry this morning?
Well, that's what I want to tell you about. I advise you not to say anything to your daughter about it, but Barry's sinking steadily.
Oh, Dr. Weston, you don't mean...
I mean that he's critically ill, Mrs. Billings, but we haven't given up hope.
But I thought that after the operation...
We said we wouldn't know the whole story for 72 hours after the operation. It was before that he began to fail.
Oh. Well, what are his chances?
Slim. And slimmer by the hour. But there's no telling what might happen. He may suddenly rally.
He has to, Dr. Weston. How's Mrs. Carlton?
She hasn't given up hope. She's with him now.
Oh, I feel so sorry for her, and for Penny, for him.
It's a pitiful thing. A doctor sees a lot of death, and of approaching death. But every now and then he wants to turn his face away. This is one of those times. That young man has a lot to live for.
Oh, maybe that's what'll bring him through.
If he comes through, that's what will do it. Medicine has done all it can.
Oh, Dr. Weston, he has to live. He's Penny's whole life.
Well, I wanted to warn you that he might not. And I wanted you to know before you saw your daughter. She thinks he's still gaining, and she must continue to believe that.
I'll see that she does.
It's important to her own well-being, Mrs. Billings. As long as young Carlton lives, she'll continue to get better herself.
If Barry dies, how long... I mean, when do you think...
The lad has a strong will, Mrs. Billings. He'll hold on for as long as it's humanly possible. I don't expect it momentarily, if that's what you mean.
I was afraid that's what might happen. Then if you don't expect it for it to happen sometime, there's hope that he will be all right.
I never give up hope, Mrs. Billings. And I don't want you to. Now go in and see your daughter and try to be cheerful about it. She needs a little cheering up.
Well, Doctor, she hasn't taken a turn for the worse, has she?
Well, there are a few things I want to talk to you about, Mrs. Billings. Nothing you need be alarmed about, I promise you. But after you've seen your daughter, come to my office, will you? I'd like to show you her most recent charts.
All right, I will.
Fine. No rush. Just come to my office whenever it's convenient.
Thank you.
Come in.
Oh, good morning, Penny.
Good morning, Mother. I was wondering when you'd get here.
Well, I was talking to Dr. Weston out in the hall. How are you?
Fair. I didn't have a very good night. I couldn't sleep.
Oh. Did you tell the nurse?
Yeah, she gave me something that was supposed to put me to sleep, but didn't do any good. I saw it get light before I closed my eyes.
Oh, that's a shame, dear.
Well, maybe I'll sleep this morning or this afternoon. I feel tired enough to sleep around the clock, but my eyes won't stay closed.
Oh, maybe if you tried reading, dear.
No, Mother, it hurts my eyes to read, and the doctor said not to try if it hurt. Did you have a good breakfast?
Well, I wasn't very hungry. I hope you ate.
I couldn't this morning, just some coffee.
Well, darling, you have to eat. That's the way you'll get your strength back.
I eat when I can. This morning I just couldn't.
Well, what's bothering you? I know something's on your mind.
Nothing more than usual.
Oh, you can tell me. It might be good for you to tell me. Besides, I'm sure I can prove to you it's not serious. Now, what is it?
Mother, I have a terrible premonition. It stuck with me all night.
A premonition of what, darling?
About Barry. Mother, I'm worried about him. Mother, they said I could see him again today, and last night Dr. Evans came in and said it'd have to be postponed.
Well, he's probably not feeling as strong as he ought to, and they think that seeing you is too much excitement for
No,
him.
I'm afraid it's more than that, Mother. In fact, I'm sure it is. Dr. Evans didn't say it in so many words, but I got the impression that Barry's suddenly taken a turn for the worse.
Well, darling, you're having your ups and downs, too. You have to expect the same of Barry.
Mother, he's so much worse off than I am. He tried to make me think he was going to be all right when I saw him, but I had a feeling that I was looking at him for the last time.
Now, Penny, you mustn't say those
I'm only
things.
saying what I'm thinking, Mother. Darling, the premonition is so strong. Find out about him for me. Nobody will tell me anything, and I want to know. I want to know the truth, no matter what it is.
No, I still, darling. They won't let me stay with you if you're excited.
I'm sorry, Mother, but find out about him, will you?
Yes, darling,
And
I will.
tell
I
me
will.
the truth, even if it's the worst thing it can be, because if Barry dies, I don't want to live either. There won't be any reason for it.
Come in.
Oh, hello, Dr. Weston.
Oh, Mrs. Billings. I'm glad you're here.
Well, I've come to see those charts of Penny you were telling me about.
Oh, yes. Sit down.
Doctor, what's happened?
They say a doctor has no feelings for these things, but mine shows in my face, doesn't it? If you don't mind, we'll forego looking at your daughter's charts.
Well, no, I don't mind at all.
Perhaps you've guessed it, Mrs. Billings. Just 15 minutes ago, Barry Carlton passed away.
Oh, no.
The end came suddenly, though not without warning, Mrs. Billings. We did all we could, but it was to no avail. There was no pain, no discomfort for him. He died without regaining consciousness. His mother was with him at the last.
Oh, Dr. Weston, I'm sorry. I just can't help it.
Tears are quite natural at a time like this, and quite good medicine for the ache inside. The loss of a young life is a great loss. But the real tragedy is the effect on those who are left behind.
Oh, he was all poor Mrs. Carlton had. She cared nothing for her money or her home or fine possessions, only for her son. Where is she now?
In her room. Maybe you could be of some help to her.
Well, I'll try to be. Oh, what about Penny? How will
We
I...
can't take the chance of telling her now, Mrs. Billings. The shock would be too great. So suppose you spend a little time with Mrs. Carlton. Might be good for both of you. For never have I seen a woman of her age take as great a loss so slowly.
May I come in, Mrs. Carlton?
Why, yes, Miss Billings. Please do.
Thank you.
They've told you about my son?
Yes, I've just heard. I can't tell you how sorry I am. I feel as if I've lost my own son.
It's as if you have, Miss Billings. We've both lost a son. But I'm happy for you that you still have a daughter. And I hope with all my heart that she will allow me to consider her as my own child, even though this has happened. I could not bear the tragedy of losing both of them.
Penny will never desert you. You know that. Mrs. Carlton, is there anything I can do?
No, thank you. There's nothing anyone can do. All the necessary things will be taken care of by those who normally take care of things at times like these.
Yes.
All I want anyone to do is to give me back my son. But I know the foolishness of such a request.
Mrs. Carlton, could you lie down and sleep?
They're going to bring me a tablet that will make me sleep, Miss Billings. Until then, I'll sit here at the window. Would you sit with me?
That's what I came to see you for. I want to help in any way I can.
The help I need, I must get from within myself, Miss Billings. It is a tragic thing that my son should die at such an early age.
I know.
But it is no more tragic for me than it is for any mother who loses a son or a daughter, or for anyone who loses any loved one. My truly great sorrow is that I lived to see him die. I've had more than a normal share of years. I would gladly have given some of them to him.
It is a special tragedy when a young person dies. But you yourself said that if Barry died, it would be God's will, and you would abide by it.
I am abiding by it, and I will. And it has been God's will that I live to see my son taken away from me and go on living without him. Though he is the only thing on earth I've lived for since the day he was born. Do you know, Miss Billings, he would have been 32 years old on the 14th of this month? All of 32. You wonder why I don't cry, don't you?
No, I understand why you don't. There's no room for tears.
But there will be. There will be tears of mine for him and for Penny, and for the happiness this death has taken away from them, and those who wished them happiness with all their hearts.
Can the news of Barry's death be kept from Penny? What would happen if she were to hear of it? And what lies before her with Barry dead? Be sure to listen to the next dramatic episode of Hearts in Harmony. KCB. KCB. KCB means Kroger cut beef, and Kroger cut beef means more meat for your money. Right. Kroger cut beef gives you more meat, less waste. Because before the meat is weighed and priced, the Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess bone, excess waste, and stringy ends. Take a Kroger cut round steak or roast, for example. The Kroger method of cutting beef removes excess waste and stringy meat before the steak or roast is weighed and priced. You get a minimum of bone, and you get top U.S. government grades of beef. Beef that's tender, juicy, rich red, and marbled with just the right amount of flavory fat. But visit your neighborhood Kroger store and see for yourself. And remember, whether you buy a steak or a roast, Kroger cut beef gives you more meat for your money. Ladies, make plans right this instant to visit your neighborhood Kroger store, the only place you can buy Kroger cut beef. Surprise and delight your family with a delicious and juicy steak or roast. And remember, in Kroger cut beef, you get more meat for your money, because the Kroger method of cutting beef gives you more meat, less waste. Make it a rule to get Kroger cut beef at your neighborhood Kroger store. Be sure to join us again Monday, same time, same station, for another thrilling transcribed chapter of Hearts in Harmony.